Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the GMB Show. Today I'm in Seattle, hanging out with Jarlo.
Hey.
And what's up, man?
What's going on?
Today we're going to be talking about our version of the GMB lifestyle. In GMB, of course, there isn't a single way that we do things. Everybody's different, and that means that we all have a certain way that we live. And in GMB, it's not about changing your lifestyle to meet the needs of the workout program. We have a program to help you in your lifestyle. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about that. And it's really great that Jarlo and I can sit down and talk about this because we have such different lifestyles just based on whatever we're doing. So Jarlo, you want to go ahead and start?
Well, one of the primary reasons that we started GMB was to provide an alternative to people. You know, when we're talking about building strength or building flexibility and skill development, a lot of times people get into these heavily structured programs that aren't adaptable to what they need to do and what they want to do and what they're able to do for a long period of time. Now, there's a difference between a 3 to 4 week kind of concentrated regimen, right? If you're preparing for something and you only have a little bit of time, you know, and in that time frame, you can do almost anything in like 3 weeks, right? You can.
And a good example is right now with you,
mm-hmm.
with getting ready for the big climb.
Yeah, so that's one thing we want to talk about. You know, every time we say things like cycles
mm-hmm.
and goal setting, that's really the way that you can make programs specific to you. So I'm doing this charity climb, this cancer charity climb. We do it every year. And that's in a week and a half. And it's not too bad at all. I mean, it's 70 floors. It's bad if you don't ever do it, right? And it's bad if you're not used to continuously going upstairs for that 15 to 20 minutes, whatever it is. But you need to prep for it. One of the reasons I'm prepping for it is just because I don't want it to interfere with anything else I do. So I don't want to go and do this thing and then be so wiped out that I can't do anything for a few days after because I have other things to do. So it's been really simple. I just 3 times a week, I just set a timer and I go walk up and downstairs for 30 minutes. And I do it in a way that's is aerobic. So I just keep my heart rate under 150. And the first couple times I had to stop, but then the last few times over the last couple weeks, it's just I don't have to stop. I just keep going for the 30 minutes, and I'm underneath the heart rate where it's not dipping into recovery levels, so I can't do the other things I want to do. So that's a really easy example of a cycle, and it doesn't have to be very complex. You have something that you need to do. Maybe you, instead of this charity climb, we're going to take a vacation, and I know I'm going to go hike for a few hours. Well, then I need to get used to being on my feet. You know, I don't need to go and do like a heavy aerobic cardio intensive like interval session. I just need to be able to be comfortable on my feet and not get tired for a few hours. You know, and that's a very different stimulus and a very different thing. You can't say, and that's the trouble, right? People are like, oh, I can go and I can do these high intensity intervals. I've been doing it forever, right? But then they go out and they go on these day hikes and they wonder why they can't. Maybe their lungs feel fine, but then their feet hurt, right?
And then afterwards they're drained for days. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it might seem complicated based on what you've read and looking at other people's programs, but you have to realize, especially if you're just looking at like a snippet out of someone's workout journal, you're only looking at that little bit rather than the big picture and rather than something that they could do year round.
Good thing to think about too with this is, you know, when you're doing the climb, you're not looking at winning or, you know, crushing it or anything like that. You're doing it because, well, for one, it's a great cause and you just need to be able to complete it.
Right.
And it's good enough just to be able to complete it.
Right. Yeah. I'm not like racing. Right. There is a race thing. And it's interesting that there's on another day, I forget if it's the day before, firefighters actually do it with gear. Oh, really? Right. Wow. Firefighters do it with their 50, 60 pounds of gear.
Yeah.
And the racing times are ridiculous. It's like 7 minutes. This guy's they're screaming up the 70 floors, right? I couldn't do that without gear.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to train for that, I don't know why I'd want to train for that, but if I wanted to, then I'd have to have a totally different regimen for it.
And the amount of time it would take to train, you know, the lead up for that would just be so different. But again, that's a cycle. I mean, and, you know, it depends on where you are in your life, of course. You know, you and I, though, where we are, we're not out to compete, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just want to be able to do the things that we enjoy.
So what are you doing right now?
My main thing right now is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so I want to be able to do it and enjoy it instead of getting on the mat and being so winded and then the next day waking up and feeling so sore that I don't want to do it again. So right now my training is basically twice a week. I do conditioning for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it's not an everyday thing. And this might surprise people because, me as the poster child of GMB, people might think I'm working out all day long and doing all this stuff. But recently I don't. And the best thing for me is actually more downtime. So in my case, instead of actually doing more exercise, it's getting more recovery and making sure that I'm eating more food and looking at the other things outside of my workouts to make sure that when I am on the mat, I can do it. So this also includes flexibility, working a lot more on my, mobility kind of things, and then also working on mobility under load. So it's, strength training, but it's not like weighted pull-ups or anything like that. It's more about being able to move better in awkward positions so that I don't get injured, and then also focus on stamina so that I can be able to continue to do it. So with me right now, that's about it.
But it'd be different. Right now, that's what you're doing, and it's sort of this particular thing.
Yeah.
But when you're getting ready to say, you're going to be teaching in Hong Kong in April.
Yes, that's a great point. And so next month I'll be in Hong Kong teaching for 4 days straight. And so I'll have to prep to be able to teach. And so my cycle will change. And so I'll be focusing more on the activities and the movements that I need to be able to teach and making sure I have that. Now, along those lines, of course, I'm not putting everything else just on hold. And so I maintain the skills that I currently have. But when I get ready to teach next month, I'll ramp some of those skills up. So a good example would be I just focus on my big skills. So my handstand push-ups, handstands. Then I'll do my pulling stuff, whether that be on the rings or whatnot. And then I'll focus on doing tuck planche push-ups. And then my leg work. And so my leg work like shrimp squats and I like sissy squats and things like that. Those are the things I'll ramp up in order to get me prepared for the Hong Kong stuff down the road. And I might back off a little bit in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to make sure that I don't injure myself getting ready to be able to teach. Because after all, that's my job, right?
That's the important distinction too. A lot of times when people talk about how do I keep my gains or maintain it, they don't realize that it doesn't take that much to maintain.
Not at all.
And the more you train and the more you are aware of that, we've been doing this for years. He has to maintain certain skills, right? But his maintenance of certain skill levels is going to be different than mine.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So, for example, handstand work. His handstand work is at a level that's a lot higher than mine. And then his maintaining regimen is actually would be like probably my workout regimen for building it. So that's another thing that's interesting. You have to consider, you can't look at someone else's program and their goals and just copy it. And so that's why in our method, we have the assess, address, and apply. And that's individual to each person. That doesn't mean the program significantly changes in terms of movements or choice of exercises. But it does mean that you change the volume, intensity, and frequency. Those are the main things that you can address, change and address. Now, the reason I say that is because there aren't particular special exercises, right? Even in the realm of like corrective exercise, most of the things are going to be very similar. Mm-hmm. But the way you approach it, whether it's again volume, intensity, and frequency, or if it's just little adjustments in the technique itself to emphasize certain things. Now you take that's the micro look, mm-hmm. right? Whether you're looking at the exercises themselves, the macro is the training schedule, the training program. Like right now, so Ryan is working on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff. That I did a cycle of that last year when I was really trying to ramp up from the next stripe and the purple. But now, what I've been doing for the last 2 months, and then I'm going to continue on for probably another 3 or 4. Is I'm doing a distance learning program with my teacher for the Filipino martial arts for the sword. And sword work is pretty specialized, right? It's a pretty specialized skill. And what I'm looking for in that isn't necessarily a strength or a flexibility thing. For example, what I need to do is I need to work more on my endurance and specialized strength endurance for different scenarios. So in my regimen right now, I'm doing 3 to 4 days of endurance work, along with within that time period is like four days or so of skill work. 2 of those days are with sparring and partner training, and the rest I'm doing solo at home. What I'm looking for in assessing it is I had to go and see, what do I need to work on? And so that's a really esoteric example. But if you have something like that and you're getting into it, you already know right away what you need. And if you don't, that means you have a coach, right, that will tell you that. So that's the assessment part. Addressing it is choosing the particular methods that will affect that. And then applying is your training schedule, whether you're able to do it sustainably, because you want to be able to do it, especially in this particular skill development with a martial arts example, for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and for sword work. It's not something you can get in a month. Right? It's not something you can get in like 6 months. Yeah. But you can do an intensive cycle for that long. Like, I wouldn't consider a 3-week period enough. Yeah. So you can do it really intensely for 3 weeks, but I don't think it's going to be
sustainable.
Well, it's already not sustainable, but it's also, you're probably not going to get something that will last, right? That will that you'll be able to say, I got it. Yeah. I mean, you might be able to. You could probably pick one specific thing. Maybe you're like grip fighting for 3 weeks. But I'm talking about the overall picture of it. So like, you're working on some fundamentals in your jiu-jitsu work, right? So you don't want to be hyper specialized in one thing, especially and this is really important for people just starting out. You don't want to get hyper specialized at all. That seems kind of contradictory to being focused on something, but it's not. Yeah. Because it depends on your particular level of ability.
Because there's so much revolved in that. Because, I mean, we all come into it at a different level. And so, a person's stamina might be great, so they can actually drill a bit more than the other person. Whereas, somebody coming into it from not doing anything, they're just going to have to first be able to survive on the mat. And I'm not just talking about techniques, right? Just like get through the warm-up.
That's right.
For a lot of people, that could just be killer. And so if you just get too specialized and think that you're going to focus on like one technique or something, then
that's not what you need.
Right. Yeah. So that's where the addressing the situation comes in, right?
A good example of that in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like, say you're just starting, right? You have guard, you have mount, side control, back control, all of that. Say if you're just starting, and we've done this, we've all taught true beginners, and they don't even know the positions themselves. Are you gonna spend an hour on leg locks with them, right? And then they're gonna get nothing out of that.
Right, exactly.
Right? But if you already been doing this for years and you decide, this month I'm gonna specialize in leg locks. Well, that's good because you already have the fundamentals.
Absolutely.
Right? You already have the fundamentals. It's sort of like I teach a lot of the weapons work, and a lot of times people have this idea in their head that if they have a knife, then they're already good, right? But that's not true. Just having the weapon in your hand isn't going to do anything. You have to have all of these other things as the foundation. For example, there's a lot of times when you're going to be kind of caught up in a certain pattern, and you need to be able to recognize when you're in that pattern, and you won't unless you put in a lot of rounds, and then you're going to get caught in this sort of like what's happening kind of spiral. And so,
give another example, even like the handstand. So moving away from the martial arts side of things, it's the handstand. If you were to think that you're just going to jump up and start working on your handstand, you're crazy. And it would just be, for one, too much. You got to start at the very, very beginning. You got to prep yourself in order to be able to start. If you don't know what you need to focus on in order to get there, well, already from the beginning, you're not going to get anywhere.
That's right.
So that's, where the coaching comes into play, and then also having a clear path on what you want to focus on. Like, let's kind of take it back a little bit and talk about, let's say we're working on a cycle and we know what we need to address, and we're working on that right now. Well, even within that, you're going to have to come back and make sure that you're assessing things again. So the cool thing about this is it's not just something where you assess the situation and then you address and apply. It's within that process, you're constantly going back and checking to make sure that you're on the track. And there's going to be some days where you won't feel that you're on track, and you're on track, but it's the fact you might need to pull back. And that's where the auto regulation comes in too. So you can't blindly go through things and just keep following the same pattern each and every day.
That's what it is. It's sort of like you get this perfect program, and then it doesn't change for months and months. That's not a program.
Yeah, it's not.
Right?
No.
It needs to be adaptable and adjustable.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're just
spinning your wheels.
That's you're spinning your wheels.
That's it.
So a lot of the GMB method is that it's specific to you.
Yeah.
But it's also adaptable and adjustable within itself. Right? We don't have arbitrary standards. We don't have these things that you must do before you move on, right? And that way, you're also not stuck.
That's right.
We talk about the basics and the fundamentals, but that doesn't mean you don't ever move on from them. It's not something you get away from either. So that's the hard part. There's both that you never get away from them, but you also aren't stuck on them. So what does that mean? Well, that's where we talked about maintaining certain things, emphasizing others, right? And then being able to go back when you need to. So that's part of the cycling. We're kind of going all over the place, but once you've trained for a period of time, either in one of our programs or one of our trainers, and even on your own, you'll be able to find these patterns for yourself, as long as you don't feel like you have to adhere to a certain
standard.
Yeah. It's not so much standard, but don't be afraid to change what you need to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be big things. It can be as simple as decreasing the intensity one day, or decreasing the volume of work one day and increasing it the next. It's not a perfect graph of constantly upward movement. Another thing too with assessing correctly and addressing it in the way that you need to is that we all have time limits, right? We only have certain hours of the day that we could do something, and how much time that we can devote to it. So you want to spend that time as efficiently as possible, right? If you have 4 hours to do your workouts, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to be as thoughtful and as critically thinking about your training. But I know I have to. I only have, on most days, probably an hour and a half. So I need to really choose what I need to work on. And then if I'm sparring during those rounds, every round I need to have something in my head. So
it's got to count.
It's got to count.
Yeah.
Because
you can't waste that time.
I can't waste that time. That's right. If I want to get to a certain goal, a certain way that I'm expecting to be in say 6 months or whatever.
Exactly. So what we're really talking about here is a process. It's not about the numbers of sets and reps. It's really about 3 things. And the first thing is using the 3 A's that we have, where you assess, you address, and you apply. Then you use auto-regulation, right, in order to judge where you are that day. And so once you figure out what you need to do and you go into that workout, then you can auto-regulate. So let's say on that day, you're feeling very good. Well, then maybe you could go at it harder and you can adjust the intensity, take it up a bit. But maybe there's a day where you're absolutely exhausted. You had to stay up with your kid last night who was sick or whatnot. So you need to back off a bit. But then when you're performing, so this is number 3, that is having that mindfulness and that awareness of what's going on when you're doing the work. And so you're trusting in that process, but when you're doing it, it's not haphazard and you're not just going into it blindly and just going through the motions. You're making sure that whenever you do anything, whether it be sparring, whether it be working on a particular movement scale of a new movement, that you're mindfully moving. And that's extremely important. And that's how you can make sure that you're efficient with the things that you're doing and making good use of your time.
I think another thing, too, to consider is how long do you think you'd be able to concentrate and focus on something? So how long is that cycle? And usually I would recommend it. Probably 2 to 4 months. 3 months is a nice round number, a nice kind of arbitrary thing. 3 months, 12 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks, something like that. Both in terms of your motivation, right? Your focus and your ability to put forth the right amount of effort and to not feel bored or burned out or stagnant. And then go on to something else. If we go back to martial arts here and you go to Brazil, think about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you can spend, say, 2 months on your guard bottom. then the next 2 months you can spend on Mount Top. And then within those 2 months, you can have little cycles of, okay, so 2 weeks, I'm going to work on my chokes.
Yeah, good.
Right?
Good.
2 weeks, I'll work on defense.
Yeah.
So within that, you have little adjustments with your main goal.
But a good example of this is because, even though you're focusing on that one thing, you will hit the other things in there. Mm-hmm. So you will be working on bottom because when you roll and, it's going to happen. So It's not like you're not doing the other stuff. Right.
And that's another thing. In terms of physical fitness, maybe you can make it so that you have a really broad thing. Like, this is my strength cycle for 2 weeks.
Yes,
right?
That's good.
Or sorry, not 2 weeks, but like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
But within that, it's not like you're never going to stretch or you're never going to work on your balance.
Yeah, right.
Right. But that's your emphasis. And then after that, you're just like, well, once I've gotten some good gains out of that, you'll switch over to, I don't know, more of a movement-oriented thing, right? Where you're exploring things. Once a week, then, you would maintain your strength levels. Mm-hmm. Maybe even once every 10 days or once every 2 weeks. You're able to maintain it.
Yeah, that's right.
You're able to maintain things for quite a bit longer than you think. Yep. Because when you're moving around and you're using your body, how can it be that you regress by doing something else? Mm-hmm. I mean, you would only truly regress if you're just stuck in bed for 2 weeks. Yeah. Right? You're not going to lose strength. You're not going to lose your gains in 2 weeks if you're active and moving around and doing something else. You'll get rusty.
But you'll pick it back up.
You'll pick it back up quick. Say in this strength thing, you got up to a point where you're able to do like 15 pull-ups with like 25 pounds around your waist, right? And you're like, oh, that's good. So then say you don't do it again for another couple weeks, right? You'll probably lose a few reps. But if you go back to it,
you'll probably be stronger afterwards.
You'll probably be stronger after you get after you give yourself another couple of practice runs at it. Yep. Right. Things are a lot harder to lose. Depends on your age, for sure.
Absolutely.
But, the younger you are, the more definitely it's going to be so much easier to maintain everything. But at the same point, even if you're at middle age or more, it stays with you a little bit quicker. Yeah. And it's hard to realize that, too, because you're within yourself. So that's the hard part. When we realize that, you don't want to feel like you've wasted anything. But you would only have really wasted something if you went from all of that to zero. And all of that to zero for quite a bit of time, actually.
We talked a lot here in this relatively short, been talking almost about 30 minutes, but we talked a lot of stuff. So, coming back, really, it's about that lifestyle and making sure that you're focusing on yourself. It's not about what other people out there think you should be doing, because you're the only person who really knows what you need and what you want to be doing. So make sure that you do have a goal. What do you really want to focus on? Find a person to help you with that. That's why we're here. Ask questions because we love questions. But speaking of questions, though, if you do have any questions regarding the show today, please leave a comment. You can always send us an email at info@gmb.io. And anything else, Jarlo?
That's about it.
All right. Until next time. Laters.
Thanks.
For more great info, join us over at gmb.io. And be sure to check us out on iTunes and YouTube.